5 things it did right. This is the first half of our review of the original Star Wars Battlefront game. Nate, you're back today. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Well, we're going to be taking a look at your issues, your problems, sitting you down on the old Dr. Phil Couch-a-Rooney here, and then we're going to be talking about Star Wars Battlefront.
Is this a safe space where I can share my feelings?
Only if you're okay with them being broadcast to 10,000 people.
I am okay with that.
All
right.
right.
Let's dig right in.
Let's dig into Star Wars Battlefront. So, this game, you kind of pointed this out to me, and I never really thought about it this way, but it introduced a lot of people to the shooter genre of game. I think especially Star Wars fans, because a lot of them were younger.
Yeah, and I think what we mean by this is there was good shooter games that were before this.
Oh yeah, there was plenty.
Like Halo, for example.
Quake, Doom, yeah, like the 90s, early 2000s, there were a lot of shooters,
right.
But this is different.
I think this one was one of the first shooter games that really was mass popular.
Oh, you mean like just outside of that fandom of genre?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this game brought in fans into the shooter genre. Like, I even know a lot of people that went out and bought consoles, like a PS2 or an Xbox or whatever, just to
console peasants, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
We say as we play it on the Xbox One.
Just to buy this game, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, they just played this game at their friend's house or something, and they were like, oh, let's go buy a PS2 now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it really did bring on, because a lot of those people were just Star Wars fans.
Exactly.
And so then they just wanted to play Star Wars games, and this happened to get them interested in shooters. I know from here, I actually got interested in Halo, and then got interested in Call of Duty from there.
Yeah.
And so it kind of spread out for me as well. This, I think, was my first main shooter that I played.
Same with me.
Yeah. So I think that really is true. And it's hard because it's not revolutionary completely in the way that it's designed, but in the way that it's able to pull in people who don't have an interest in this type of game.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that really didn't care about Star Wars, and on the flip side, didn't really care about shooters, but they played this game just because it was so good.
The second thing I think we have is that this made you enjoy multiplayer as multiplayer, right? Because there is a multiplayer component to this that's very fun.
Yeah.
It has since shut down on console, obviously. But it also made you enjoy multiplayer in a single-player experience.
Yeah, and like the single player was filled with bots, but it felt like multiplayer.
Even though the bots are stupid. Yeah, there's just
idiots.
so many everywhere. And they do react to things erratically. I think that's partially because the AI wasn't designed perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, there is something to be dug into there that the enemies are dumb.
Yeah, like you'll be scoped in on someone, and right before you shoot, they just randomly do like a barrel roll.
Yeah. Like, the game knows sometimes what you're going to do, which isn't great. But I do think that it does add to this idea of, like, it's not the same instant action map over and over again, essentially, because it feels like you're playing a multiplayer game. It's kind of like the combat training on higher difficulties in something like Call of Duty Black Ops.
Right.
Where, like, you can enjoy that even if you're not going online and you're great at multiplayer. It gives you that experience in the single player
and
portion of the game.
And it still feels like multiplayer.
Yeah. The next thing the game did that really impressed me was it made you feel like a soldier. So, up to this point, this is not the only way that games were made for Star Wars, but a lot of them focused on just like the Jedi, right? So you would be like dropped into the shoes of a Jedi, or there were, flight sims like TIE Fighter and X-Wing, and those are good, and they do their own things well. But it wasn't super often that you got to feel like you were a soldier on the front lines. Probably the closest to this was maybe something like Galactic Battlegrounds?
Yeah.
I think came out around the same time or a little earlier.
I think it was a little after.
Was it a little after?
Yeah.
Okay, because I get the dates confused on that one. But Galactic Battlegrounds put you above the battle.
Right.
And that was pretty close to get to it. But like here, you're actually in the trenches of it. And you're not an all-powerful Jedi or Sith. You're not like, Darth Plagueis running around the map mastering the midi-chlorians of life.
Right.
You're just a guy with you're like a guy with a blaster and a health bar. And that's it, against 200 people.
Right. Yeah, it was really the first Star Wars game where you actually did feel like a soldier.
Yeah.
Like you can actually fight in like the Clone Wars or like different battles, like Geonosis from episode 2, or Naboo from episode 1, or you could fight those major battles as a soldier.
And even what you said too, like with the classes, like you don't just feel like one blaster soldier. It's not like 4 factions, each plays the exact same. The classes play differently.
Yeah.
It's interesting because they play similar enough that it doesn't take much to get used to them, but their weaponry is different enough that if you are used to playing as a sharpshooter, it's not a 1-to-1 to switch to a trooper.
Right.
But it's close enough that you are used to the movement enough that it's not that hard. The only ones that it starts to get difficult with are some of like the jet characters, where you're like having to actually, master a different movement system, or like the droidicas.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like they're different enough, but not so different that it's playing a different game.
Well, and the thing is with each classes is each one was unique. So if you were playing as just the assault class, and let's say I was playing as the engineer class or something, we would have 2 totally different experiences.
Yeah.
Because each one, it's not like the same class just with a different gun. Each one had a different play style and a different uniqueness to it, and like a different feel to the character.
Yeah, engineers were like very close range.
Yeah.
Like with shotgun, but also they had resupplies and like a sort of mine.
Yeah.
Thing. The soldiers would be different. Like they move the same speed basically, but like they're more about movement in terms of like getting somewhere using a mid-range weapon that can function at long range.
Yeah.
Like the engineer can't do that. But at the same time, the soldier is sort of constrained by their environment, whereas the engineer is not. The engineer can resupply themselves, right?
Right.
And act as support for other characters in the game. So you can act as a healer, like whether it's for the AI or for other players too.
Yeah.
And those things are like very unique and different. And honestly, this is something that like roles had been around before in shooters, but I think it was an interesting twist on it that it also functioned with the AI. And the AI would have these different roles. And you see this all the time in shooters nowadays, like Overwatch. It's all based on role play.
Right.
So them doing this at this point in time, I think is impressive, even if other people had started doing it as well. The next point we have is that the crouching and going prone is actually very good in this game.
Yeah, this was a whole point in itself because of how much we liked it.
Yeah, and it's sad because going prone is not in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, it seems kind of weird that was a sequel, yet they took out one of the best features.
Yeah,
weird.
I don't understand that. Also, the thing with crouching's in both, right?
Yeah.
And obviously that's a mainstay. The going prone, though, was not a mainstay in shooter games at this point. I mean, it was in some, it was not in others. And so the fact that you could sort of like, as a sharpshooter, go up, lay down, camp, and snipe. Even, I'm thinking, do you remember Bespin platforms?
I do remember that.
Like how great that was for sniping.
Yeah.
You'd go up on like one of the rings and lay down with a sniper.
Yeah, you could snipe across the entire map on that.
Yeah. And like there was a lot of stuff like that. But it was risk reward.
Right.
Because if enemies got close enough to you, you having your head like at the center mass facing them makes headshots easier.
Right.
And you take more damage and you die faster.
I just remember grenade jumping onto like really tall buildings on Cloud City or something, and then going prone as the sharpshooter and just like sniping people from the top.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Well, and that's one of the things too, even though it doesn't fully tie into this point, it'll tie into our next one, that creators cared about Star Wars, but they did also care about the game. And that's very obvious. Like, and I've sort of added this caveat in here, but what you're saying too about like crouch jumping, like, or grenade jumping up to get somewhere, or even like how you could do a grenade jump that was specific to the dark trooper.
Yeah.
Where like you'd throw the grenade, you have to time it perfectly to do it. That sort of stuff made this much more of a sandbox that it felt like they cared about. Like they gave you the toys, they put you in the sandbox and said, have fun.
Right.
And that really does shine through, especially in how they care about Star Wars itself. I mean, look at the map selection. Even you said there was a lot of EU stuff in there, like Renvar.
Yeah.
Like,
that's not in any of the movies.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't really know about Renvar.
In fact, I didn't until I played this game.
Yeah, and it's funny because some of the old expanded universe stuff isn't even really ever mentioned anymore. since the Disney buyout. But the fact that this was already tying into some of those things was impressive to me. Also, they understood where different things fit, like weapons, movement, like the Dark Trooper, for example. Like, they could have very easily just slapped it into the Clone Army or something, but they knew it didn't fit in that era.
Yeah.
So it's in the Galactic Civil War era.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how they had each, like, specific army have, like, their own different classes that actually fit with that era. So, like, for example, the clones had the Jet Troopers. Now that Jet Troopers are different than the Dark Troopers, even. But then, like, the Separatists had, like, their super battle droids and the droidicas and stuff like that.
But I know as a fan of Star Wars, it's like I appreciate when I'm like, the DL-44 blaster doesn't belong 40 years before this time period, so you didn't put it there.
Right.
Like, I appreciate stuff like that.
Yeah.
You notice it. So I think that something like that is interesting for them to do, and I think that it does show fans that they actually gave a crap about what they were working on, both in terms of designing a game and designing an experience that was tailored towards fans of the franchise.
Right. And another reason, or another way that the creators show that they cared about, I think, was in Galactic Conquest.
Oh, it's so good. It's even better in the sequel.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good here.
The Galactic Conquest was really cool. How you could, you had like a list of maps and you had to capture them. And each map that you captured, you got like a different ability that you could use. And then my favorite part actually was blowing up the maps with the Death Star.
Oh yeah, if you were if you were the Empire and you won 4 battles, you'd basically be able to charge the Death Star super laser and blow up a planet.
Yeah, one time I think I spent hours on this. I just had it where I blew up every planet.
Oh, so you'd like lose some and then win
I would
again?
purposely lose and then win another 4 and then just blow up another planet and then purposely lose.
Well, that's the thing, is like there was a lot of sandbox stuff in this game that was just fun to mess around with.
Right.
And I think that even improved in the sequel too, but this is where it all started. And this game is often overlooked. Like, people remember Battlefront 2,
right,
the original, but they don't always think about this.
This is just as good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just as good in different ways. And it was improved upon, but without this foundation, we wouldn't even be where we are today with the Star Wars genre. And even with a lot of shooters, this would go on to act as an inspiration for a lot of development of different games.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a great game.
Yeah, so hey, I'm glad you're going to be in the 5 things wrong too. Yep. So I'm not going to say goodbye or anything, but I am glad that you're here to talk about it with me, since this is one of the things that we grew up playing, and both cared so much about.
Yeah, I think this game, along with GoldenEye on the Wii, we're literally probably the 2 games in my life I spent the most amount of time on.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even tell you how many hundreds upon hundreds of hours I spent into Battlefront.
I'd have to think about what it was for me. This is just a brief aside, but I played so much Fallout New Vegas, I got a repetitive stress injury.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot. That
might be the game for me that I just lost my life in for a while. Hey guys, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Did you enjoy the original Star Wars Battlefront game? What are your thoughts on it? How do you think it compares to the new games? Some people love the new games actually more, especially now that they've been improved upon. Some people think they're soulless cash grabs and love these old ones a lot more. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Are there other games you would want to see 5 things right and 5 things wrong with? Be sure to check back for part 2 of our review with 5 things Star Wars Battlefront did wrong, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day.